Hello, guys. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man. Today, I have a student out of Memphis. My man Jason. He called me on yesterday to let me know he closed his first deal. Made me excited. You know, anytime I get that call, it makes me let me know that hey, I'm changing someone else's life just like mine was changed 13, almost 14 years ago. But I'm going to bring Jason on here, and I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let you listen to him because what he has to say, I think, is more important than what I have to say. Before I get to him, just to do a little house cleaning here. Hopefully you all can see that. You can see that, Jason?
Yes.
Okay. You want to get a copy of my free contract, you can simply go to, you can text the word contract to 313131. Just test the word contract to 31313. Don't text me. No area code, just those 6 numbers, 31313, and just treat it as a phone number and text the word contract, and you can get a copy of my free contract. Join us on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific for live Flipinar seminar and webinar. Had a baby and produced a Flipinar where I have a different topic every week. And this was the first week I actually gave away 2 free courses for people that attended the course. Attended the Flipinar. So, you know, hey, if you're there, you have an opportunity to win the Wholesaling Houses and Apartments course for free. So you can register at flipinar.com. That's flipinar.com. If you need proof of funds, you can go to realpof.com. If you're dealing with realtors, that's the only way they're going to take you serious. Realpof.com. You also know that you can access my 100 plus videos at flipman.net. That's flipman.net. You can access the 200 plus videos I have on YouTube on wholesaling houses and apartments. So let me go back here. All right, you see me again, Jason?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring Jason out of Memphis, Tennessee, making easy money. I won't say the rest. In style. But hey man, how's it going? How's it going, Jason? Hello? Jason.
I didn't get that last part, Ty. You broke up.
Oh, no,
okay.
I asked you how are you doing? I guess there's a little connection problem here. So how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. A day after like closing my first deal, I'm doing great. I thought I was motivated to, you know, really jump into the business before closing a deal. But now that I've actually closed one, it just gives you a little bit more fire, a little bit more intensity to go to the next one. So I'm excited. I knew I could do it. But like I said, before I reached out to you, I just needed that extra push, you know, and definitely a mentor to just answer a few more questions, provide me a few more ideas before I actually, you know, jumped off the porch and just dove into it. So, go ahead.
Let me ask you, you want to get ahead of yourself on the deal. I like to try to build up so you can share your experience and others can relate to it. Well, just tell us about how, what led you to real estate and what experience or non-experience that you may have had. If you could just go through your story as far as how you got into real estate and interested in real estate.
Okay, so I did what a lot of people did. You know, I went to college, got a bachelor's degree, got a master's degree, started working in corporate America, was able to kind of travel, live in different cities with my job. And about 2004, my mom got sick and was in a coma for about a month. So I needed to take some FMLA from work, which was no problem, but I was off anywhere between a month to 3 months dealing with that. And my uncle actually pulled me to the side and he said, hey, you know, that's great that your job let you get off this amount of time. And I said, yeah, it's no problem. He says, but what if they didn't? he says, you know, what other income would you have coming in? And at that time, he had owned apartment buildings, homes, 2-family flats in Detroit, which is where I'm from. So I was always kind of exposed to what he was doing with real estate, and he was very successful with it. And at that point, I just really started thinking, well, I didn't want to work a 9-to-5 my entire life, but you know, that might be another source of income for me going forward. And I was interested in it. So that my mom passed in 2004, came back to Memphis. Within a month, I had joined a class to get my real estate license. Now, this was 2004. So the next year, 2005, when real estate was starting to pick up and it was booming, took the class, passed the state exam, got my realtor's license. And I took it as become a realtor first, learn the areas in Memphis. I had only been living there a couple years, meet some contacts, sell some houses, and really learn the rental market in the area. And that's what I did. So for a couple years when it was booming, I sold real estate and I became in love with it. And I kind of put a 5 to 10 year plan in mind that, you know, in 10 to 15 years, I want to leave corporate America and do real estate full time. So that's what I was working toward. And that's how I was first exposed to real estate, you know, 11 years ago. So fast forward 2008, 2009, between 2005, 2008, 2009, my 9-to-5 job really took off. So I was getting promoted. I moved again a few times, but I always kept my eye on the prize, which was long-term investing and obtaining rental properties. So 2009, fast forward 2009, started my LLC, bought a rental property, rehabbed it, put a tenant in it. A couple months later, bought another one. The next year, bought another one, with another one. So at that point, I was cash flowing on these rental properties because I paid cash, didn't have a mortgage on them. So I was 100% cash flow each month. So first I became a landlord, not quite. So I was investing, but not flipping, not doing wholesaling, even though I was interested in it. I really just wanted to focus on having some rental properties. So that's what I did, man. And, you know, by 2012, 2013, I had 5 rental properties, free and clear on 4 of the 5, and cash flowing, tenants, good tenants in there. But around 2013 is when corporate America just really started to get old, so to speak. You know, when you get married and you start have kids, working 6 days a week sometimes and working on the holidays just wasn't what I wanted to do long term anymore. And that's what I found. The industry changed. So I was working longer hours. I was working sometimes 6, 7 days a week, and I was working on the holidays. That just wasn't what I wanted to do another 20 to 30 years. So fast forward, I had my cash flow coming in from my rental properties. I made some other good investments, so I was able to get a lot of debt paid off. So that's when I really started focusing on the wholesaling piece. So I took about, I guess, a year and a half of really just reading a lot of books, a lot of Google articles, went to a few seminars, and of course, YouTube. I mean, you've said it before, YouTube is your friend, right? You can learn a lot on YouTube. Okay. So for anybody that's watching this, you know, don't just think that somebody's going to hold your hand and walk you through everything. You got to do the work sometimes. All right. You got to educate yourself. All right. You got to put in that time. Even if you do have a 9-to-5, you got to find the time to put in that time to educate yourself. So did that, and you know, was really doing good with adding some more rental properties. So, you know, about 2 years ago, I left corporate America. And when I say I left it, $95,000 on the table is what I left. So I wasn't making, you know, 30, no pun intended, but I wasn't making 25, 30,000, $95,000 I left on the table. Now, a lot of people told me I was crazy for doing that. Are you crazy? You're going to leave a good job to go follow your dreams? Yes, I am going to do that, because there's nobody. My mama always told me there's only one person you can count on in this world, and that's yourself. I believed in myself. And my wife supported me in the decision. And like I said, I did it, and was getting close to really just getting that wholesaling piece down. And I saw something on YouTube actually with Ty on some videos, and I said, wow, I saw a lot of people that were offering all these programs. I've seen $30,000 programs. I've seen $1,300 programs, but the dialogue was seminar talk to me. And, you know, it was kind of slick talk, so to speak. And I just didn't trust it. But I ran across a video for Ty, and I said, okay, this guy seems straightforward. It seems down to earth. And I'm going to reach out to him. So I reached out to him, and the first thing that stood out was you text back immediately within 5 minutes. And we just kind of had a dialogue about where I was from and so forth and so on. And, you know, you offered to kind of mentor me a little bit as I start through this wholesale business. And it was a win-win for both of us. So I think we spoke at the end of September, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And then I reviewed a lot of your training, I think the last week of September. And then I was wholesaling that first week of October. So that's kind of how I got started with real estate. So I guess my story is different because I had a little bit more experience being a realtor, having rental properties and cash flow. I guess I just wanted to take it to another level, add that extra caveat to my investing experience. So, and this is what I plan on doing full time. You know, my rental properties, I intend on continue to buy rental properties and continue to do wholesaling. I think in a few years or another year, I may dive into the actual buy, rehab, and flip as another challenge, just to see if I like that aspect of it. And that's what I plan on doing for the next 20 or 30 years.
All right. Well, let's get to the juicy part of it. So I assume, if you could correct me, had you already started trying to look for deals to wholesale before you contacted me?
Yes, I had already somewhat, you know, started looking for deals, and at the same time, I had somewhat built up a buyer's list. Because there was another property, one of my rental properties that I actually sold earlier in the year. And when I put that property out there to sell, I got contacted by a lot of investors across the country, mainly California. So once I had that property under contract, the folks that were calling, I basically was getting their information as a potential cash buyer in the future. So even though I hadn't had a property under contract, I was thinking long term, well, these guys are cash buyers, so I need to get their information to add to my list. So from January, fast forward to August, September, I had tried a little bit, like I said, to reach out there to see about getting some contracts, but just wasn't having any success. I figured I was missing something, and again, continued my YouTube education. And again, that's when I ran across you, and I said, all right, maybe it's time to I know the importance of having a mentor, but I said, maybe it's time to reach out and see exactly what I'm missing.
Okay. Well, tell us, how did you find the deal that you closed on yesterday? If you'll take us through that process, because you did something I've never been able to do. I guess I haven't been consistent enough with it, but I've never had any success with it. So it's even more interesting because I've never done it myself this way. So,
okay. So, October 2nd, I didn't have any bandit signs yet because it's political season, and they told me it would be 3 to 5 weeks before I would get any.
Oh, so, one thing before you get in, I just looked on my phone. I keep, records of students in my phone on when they sign up. So you basically signed up on September 15th and you closed the deal on September 27th, just to give a timeline for your actual situation. So that's basically about 40, what is that? 30. So that's about 42 days you closed the deal from the time you signed up. But go ahead on how you found the deal.
Okay, so like you said, that September time frame, I spent that time just studying the videos, after we had spoke. So I think it was October 2nd. I didn't have any bandit signs yet. Again, because it's political season, they said it'd be 3 to 5 weeks. So I said, well, I don't want to wait that long. I'm going to try something. So I actually put an ad on Craigslist on October 2nd saying, in the real estate section, saying something simple like, I buy houses as is for cash. And I put my phone number on there. So that was on October 2nd. On October 3rd, I received a call from a young lady saying that she had just got a new job and they had a house that they partially rehabbed, and they wanted out of it ASAP. They didn't want to rent it from from Dallas. They were ready to move. They started the new job the next week. They wanted out of it. So I went through a couple of questions to ask them about the house.
So what type of property was it for them?
It was a house they bought on a tax sale. They were going to use it as a rental property.
Oh, okay.
So they partially rehabbed it, but they didn't complete it all.
Okay.
And they were moving to Dallas, so they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I ran the numbers on the property, and it looked like it's possibly a good deal. Called her back, and we agreed to meet at the property on October, I think it was October 4th. Okay. Hold on one second. So we met at the property, her and her husband. Actually, it was October 6th. We met at the property, October 6th. And I did a walkthrough of the property. Again, having experience, having rental properties and doing rehab work, I kind of knew what the repairs were going to be. So I offered her a price. She declined the offer. She just flat out told me what she needed for the property to feel comfortable. Okay.
But what did you offer, and what did she counter?
All right. I offered, it was pretty embarrassing. I offered $4,500 for the propery.
But that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to feel horrible about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was rough coming out, Ty. I mean, yeah. I had my head down. You know, I was just like, oh boy, why am I going to say this? But yeah, so it was $4,500, and she had a number in mind, which was $7,500. That was her number that she wanted to walk away with. So I came back with I think $6,500, and we went back and forth and negotiated. She was a little off. She had quite a bit, about $500 to $1,000 in taxes. About $500 in taxes that she had. So basically, what we did, I bumped the price up to $8,000. Again, not being greedy, but I said, okay, if $8,000 minus the money that she needs for the taxes, that would put her exactly where she needed to be, right? Mm-hmm. And she accepted. So I hadn't wrote the contract up or anything before going there. So basically, I had some blank copies of the contract, and I wrote 2 contracts out right there in the living room, exactly the same. We both signed them. We dated them. I went through them with them. They got a copy. I kept a copy, and I gave them $10 cash for earnest money, just to show them that I was serious about
yeah.
doing business with them.
Yeah, you used the I guess you used, yeah, I think you told me yesterday you used the contract that I used, right?
Correct.
Yeah, all right. So they didn't have a problem with that contract, as I tell people. It's just a simple contract. It's simple, man.
No, it's one, like I told them, it's one page. It's not a lot of legal jargon in there, lengthy legal jargon. Now, one of the things we did go through each bullet point. Okay. Wow. And just because I just wanted to make sure they understood what was going on. And, they said it, they had a copy, they read through it with me, and they said, I don't have any issues with it. It makes sense. It's straightforward.
Okay.
So like I said, they had a copy, I had a copy. Before I left, I took pictures of the property. I also took a short, about 5-minute video of the property inside and out. So that was on October 6th. That night, went home, did the same thing. Took the description of the home, took pictures, put it on Craigslist. Property for sale. I think at that time I put 15,000. 15,000 is what I put it out there for, which was October 7th. Phone, email was constant. Okay. All day on the 7th. I was constant calls, constant emails about the property.
Let me stop you there. All right. a good illustrator. A couple things here. All right. And people always ask me, will this work in my city? Right. Okay. And I tell them, do people get divorced in your city? Do people lose their job? In this situation, do people relocate from your city? You know, so we know all of these things happen no matter where you are, which creates motivation. Your seller was motivated because they're moving, and now this rental property that they thought they wanted to get into the business is not considered an asset to them anymore. It's a problem.
Correct.
So now they're motivated to sell it at a discount that's to your advantage because you are solving their problem. The other thing is, my man put it on the contract with the one-page contract, gave him $10, and then the third thing is, he listed it on credit. I'm getting ahead of him, but he'll explain it. He listed it on credit. He didn't have any buyers. Didn't have a buyer, right? Wasn't even thinking about that before you went out there, right?
No.
Okay. Put it on Craigslist. Guys, it's not hard to give away money. His phone, email started to blow up. Go ahead, Jason.
So now, you know, I mentioned that I had a few contacts from earlier in the year when I sold one of my rental properties. Mm-hmm. I hadn't even sent it to them yet. You know, I hadn't even gotten around to that yet because I said, first things first, let me put it on Craigslist. So again, phone constantly ringing. And one of the calls that I did get was, hey, I'm a realtor. I got a call from a realtor. He says, hey, I got a client in California that's interested in the property. He says, when I work with wholesalers, my fee is $1,000. I said, I don't pay realtors.
Let me stop you there. I mentioned on the flipper. I'm gonna let you tell it, but I mentioned on the flipper. I said, I ain't tell him yesterday. I said, but you can't haggle over $500, man. But go ahead. Go ahead.
So
go ahead.
He says, my fee is $1,000. I said, well, I don't pay any type of fees or referral fees to realtors. So he says, well, my buyer is serious. He's from California. He pays all cash. And I said, well, if I did consider working with you, I would pay you $500. I'd pay you $500. So he says, well, no. And we went back and forth and negotiated. So we ended up agreeing on $700 as his fee. Now, coming from being a realtor and things of that nature, you know, the real estate commission is very fishy about how realtors can receive commission. Okay. So what we did was perfectly legal. Is since he was a buyer agent for his buyer, he had a contract with that buyer. So he did the contract with his buyer for $700. And then what I did was I reduced the price of the house by $700. So instead of $15,000, I had it on sale. I put the price for $14,300. He said, perfect. So October 7th, again, same day, we met at he did a 5-minute walkthrough and said it's a go. Now, earlier in that day when we were talking, I sent him the 5-minute video of the property and he sent to the buyer. The buyer said thumbs up. So we just wanted to do a final walkthrough. So later on that evening, I met him at. Go ahead.
Did you upload the video to YouTube, or how did you do that?
I actually hadn't even gotten around to doing that. Okay. I had it on my phone, and it was like actually 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Mm-hmm. I sent it to him. It went through, and he forwarded to the buyer. Buyer was interested. So me and the agent, we met at the house. Like I said, he took 5 minutes and said it's a done deal. He said, send me the contract and I'll get the buyer to sign it. So went home, filled out the buyer contract for $14,300 versus the $15,000. I put down for earnest money $1,000, and I sent it off. But I didn't put 30 days as I did with the seller. I put 14 days to close the deal.
Of course.
Sent it off. Then about an hour the realtor emailed me back with the contract signed. From there,
did they use the realtor's contract, or they
used mine?
The one-page contract.
Right. I said I'm not using any other contracts. I want to use mine because that was important to me. I wanted to control just from.
Oh wow! Yeah,
to finish. I wanted to use my contract. So if the realtor, so if he wanted to use a buyer agency contract with, his client, that's on them. Because again, he was paying his $700 fee. That was on them. But as far as dealing with the house, I wanted to use, my contract, and he didn't have any issues with that. Neither the buyer or the agent. So as soon as I received the contract, I had already had a title company. I know you mentioned that that's the last thing you want to worry about. But again, from me being in the business already, months ago, I had already talked to the title company that I used and said, hey, I'm getting ready to dive into wholesaling. Is that going to be a problem? They said no. So we had already had a relationship. So Friday, I think that was a Saturday or Friday, October 7th, that night, I sent the seller's contract, the buyer's contract, and a brief description, closing description of everything that was going on.
Right. That's the process.
Basically just saying, here's the seller, buyer. I gave her the seller's phone numbers or names, the buyer's phone numbers, names, the agent's phone numbers, names. And just saying, hey, here's the purchase price, $8,000. Here's the selling price, $14,300. And I'll be, getting that difference. So from there, I sent that off that night on the 7th. And I think that Monday coming up, I think it was a holiday that Monday, so they were off. Mm-hmm. And then that Tuesday, she called me and said, hey, I've already contacted the agent.
That would have been the 10th. That Monday would have been the 10th.
Okay. So, yeah, that 11th, she contacted me and said, I've talked to the buyer, and he's wiring the money this afternoon, $1,000 earnest money. And then she says, once I get that, I'll start running title. So I know you mentioned before, a lot of people are concerned about the title company. Listen, that's the least they need to be worried about. You can call any title company and ask them, hey, do you do assignment closes? And they're most likely going to say yes. If they do, just ask them, how long does it normally take to run title and kind of their fees. And you go from there. It's not, that's the least you need to worry about.
Well, let me say this now. Sometimes it's not like that. Memphis is a different city. You all are ahead of the curve on most cities when it comes to wholesaling.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a lot of, it's probably no title companies that's been around for, especially in Memphis, that don't know about wholesaling. In other markets, it's not the same, but you still don't worry about it, because once you have a seller and a buyer in place committed with contracts, trust me, they want the business, because it's an easy transaction. That's an easy hour transaction of putting it together and closing the deal. That's the easiest $500 to $1,000 they'll ever make. So but go ahead. I just wanted to just interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, like you said, there's a handful of title companies out there. You can go on Google to look at reviews and get an idea of who's good. And again, you call them, you ask them. Again, they're not going to pass up, like you said, that $500 to $1,200 in revenue. So again, that Tuesday I talked to her, and she said, I'm going to run title. It could be anywhere between 7 to 10 days. Perfect.
Push your screen down just a little, I think. Okay. Up a little bit. Up. Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
So from then, first thing I did that day was just reach out to the sellers and tell them that we are currently running title, and to be patient. Could be anywhere between 5 to 14 days before we get this deal done. And they were excited, about being able to, again, because they had already moved by that point, being able to get out of the house and kind of just start their new life in Dallas. So from there, it was just a waiting game, so to speak. So in the meantime, I continued to advertise, continue to try to work deals. Now last Friday actually, I got a call from the title company saying that the title was in, and when did we want to close? So I said, well, let's close on Monday. Okay, I'll reach out to the sellers and we'll get everything done. So it was a done deal. We were going to close this Monday. Well, Monday came, and apparently we had an issue. Okay, we couldn't close. We had an issue. Apparently, the realtor gave his buyer the wrong information as far as closing costs. I guess he didn't estimate the closing costs, even though it was in the contract that the seller was going to be paying the closing costs. So the buyer didn't wire enough money to complete the transaction. So the buyers.
Do you mean the buyer was going to be paying the closing cost, or the seller?
The buyer.
Okay.
The buyer. I'm sorry. Buyer.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. So he didn't figure that in to his cost. So with that being said, he said, well, I won't be able to close now until Thursday. So I talked to the title company. I was like, okay, well, that's fine. It is what it is. That's what we need to do to get it done. So I wasn't excited about it because the sellers had came back in town that weekend to close. So they wanted to close on Monday and then get back on the road on Wednesday. So I wasn't excited about calling them back and telling them things have been pushed back. But they were okay with it. I think they were a little weary, just saying, well, when we're going to be able to close. And I said, well, it will be Thursday. So they ended up having to take an extra day off of work to stay the extra day. So what I did is every day on Tuesday and Wednesday, I would just call them and just to follow up with them, just to say, hey, we're still on for Thursday. I don't want you guys to worry. We're going to get this deal done so you can start your new life in Dallas. And I think they appreciated that and took some worry off of them. And then, like I said, Thursday came. He wired the money Wednesday night. So it should have wired by noon on Thursday. Noon came and went, and I still hadn't gotten the call yet. So I was a little worried again as well. But at 1:30 on Thursday, she called and said, okay, you can send them up here. We're set to go. So I called them and said it was showtime, and then I would meet them up there. And when I got up there, they were already in the lobby. They signed the warranty deed. They were already in the lobby waiting for me. Shook their hand. They already had their check. Shook their hand and told them good luck. And then we stepped outside, and I also did a little bit of marketing with them again. I told them that, I can do this business from anywhere in the country, and that if they know anybody that's, going through a divorce or in their same situation or behind on taxes, to give me a call. And I told them that, if I close a deal that you brought to me, I'll give you $500. So shook their hand again and, spoke again with them briefly last night, actually, before they got back on the road to Dallas. And they just said how thankful they were and good luck to me. And then I went back into the back office and talked to a few people at the title company and got my check and got my other copies of my documents, put in a folder, and walked out of the building, got in my truck, and called you and just left you a message just telling you what happened, and then came home. And then it was, started looking for the next deal, actually.
That's what's happening, man. That's what's happening. I was, when you called me, I was standing in a burnout house and trying to see what was on the seller's mind or whatever on that. And so I sent them a contract today, so hopefully they'll sign it or whatever. But
right.
Okay, well, hey, that's great, man. You did a great job of explaining it. Could you share with everyone what's next for you?
Well, continuing to doing the wholesaling, I'm still continuing my marketing on Craigslist. I get a lot of calls and emails via Craigslist Deals don't always work out. The numbers just don't make sense. But the majority of calls that I have been getting, now that I have my bandit signs, are through my bandit signs. That's my number one way that I've been getting calls, and continue my mail campaign. So just again looking for my next deal. Continuing to be in a realtor as well. Again, that's another stream of income for me. And then again, I'm probably not going to buy any more rentals this year, but going to be looking to buy another rental property next year. But my main focus right now is to continue with the wholesale business.
Okay, great, man. I
didn't say the amount. You want me to tell the amount?
Oh yeah.
The first deal. So it was $6,440.40. First deal.
Yeah. See, I did the return on investment on it. You spent $10. And the return on is like 64,340 something, I think, if my math is correct. I just did that yesterday. I know that's a ridiculous return on investment, hey, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, absolutely.
So this guy basically, it really started for him on October 2nd when he placed the ad, and he closed it on the 27th. So that's 25 days, and he put $6,444.40 in his pocket. Boom. That basically covers your marketing for the entire year to springboard into deal after deal, you know. So, man, I'm really excited for you, man. Bright guy. You already, you know, hey, as bright as this guy is, as you can tell in this video, people, he still had to take action. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But he's not afraid to do that or whatever. And everybody go about it at their own pace. So that's understandable. But really appreciate Jason sharing his story, man. I can just sit back and listen to stuff like that all day, you know, because it's real. But I guess you don't know it's real until it happens. So right. I'm sure you cash the check, don't spend it all in one place. Anything else you want to share with people before we go and I give my little spiel here?
Yeah, one thing is that, you know, you did the return on investment, but on this deal, I spent going forward, I keep track of the time that I spent on. So I spent 6 hours total. So that's $1,075 that I spent an hour.
Wow.
So nobody, again, just my opinion, no job is going to pay you what you think you're worth. Now, I'm not saying go quit your job right now. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, if you got a passion for something, whether it be real estate or you want to own your own beauty supply shop or your own barber shop, like Ty said, you got to take action. You got to jump off the porch. You got to put a plan in place. You got to work toward it. You got to get a mentor, and then you got to take action. Okay, whatever it is. Okay, so I just wanted to say that 6 hours worth of work, $1,000 per hour. Okay, that's my going rate.
Hey. Make America great again.
Exactly. Amen. Amen, brother.
Yeah, man. We really appreciate Jason coming out and sharing his story with us. Just before you go, don't forget you can access 200 plus free videos on YouTube through flipman.net. Join us live on the webinars. Flipinars on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can do that at flipinar.com. If you need a free copy of the contract that Jason just used on the deal he closed, you can just text the word contract to 313131. Need proof of funds, realpof.com. You'll probably see all of these promotions on the screen here after I cut this up, but get it cut up. But I really appreciate Jason showing up. Hopefully this is recorded. but again, man, thanks a lot. And I guess we'll see you all on the flip side.
Take care.
All right, thanks, man.